Hi, this is Dr. Ndidi Ihim. I'm your host of the Wealth State podcast, and I'm so excited about our topic today because I get a lot of questions about this. And this is about becoming your own bank and how you can do this and how to set it up and what does it even mean, right? So, today we're talking about becoming your own banker and why it's important. Now, what does it mean to be your own banker, and why should anyone be interested in getting their own bank set up? So it goes more than just becoming your own bank. And when people hear bank, they think, oh, okay, we're talking about maybe the big banks, right? The traditional banks where you probably have your current checking account right now or your savings account. Well, when I'm talking about bank, I'm talking about insurance reserves and why it's important. I took a few years to kind of learn about investments and growing money and just having money work for me. And it all pretty much started when I read that Robert Kiyosaki's book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And in that book, it just kind of laid out the whole, blueprint of building wealth and growing money. And for me, it's always been an interest of mine to make sure that, I'm always financially, independent and always present myself financially confident. So I always wanted to learn and know information so I could help myself and others around me. And so that's pretty much has been my passion. And honestly, I'm leaving that passion right now. And that's why I even have this podcast in the first place, right? To help you, do the same or even do better than me, So first off, what is a bank? A bank is pretty much a place where we store money, right? Now, that's for the simple-minded. Now, for someone who's a little bit higher-minded, when you hear bank, you're thinking of a place where you need to be earning interest, a garage for your money, where you park your money in there and that money is growing in value every day, every year. And we have a safety net. And so, we essentially want to become that for ourselves. If you are looking into investing into the stock market or real estate or, any kind of big purchase, right? Or even starting a business, first people think, oh, I need to go borrow money from the bank. And they start putting all these elaborate plans together so they look fundable to the banks. Now I've, being that I'm certified in helping people set up their own business and even build business credit, I know that life all too well. So I would help people get to, going to the banks to borrow loans. So we set up their corporations from scratch so they look like $1 million business on paper. But now what I started to see, what the problem was these people weren't aware or, educated on the importance of financial literacy. So what will happen is they get the money, they're spending it, some start using it for personal stuff, and maybe, whatever they took out the money for, it just didn't turn out. So now they're in major debt because, they borrowed all this money. And they can't pay it back. And that's the beginning of financial stress. And it affects your health. And before you know it, people start getting sick and essentially they die. And it is an untimely death. And we don't want that. So my purpose here with Wealth State is just to educate people on the fundamentals of even building wealth. And then when we get there, what to do with it so it could keep growing. Another resource I'm going to throw in is, read this book called, The Richest Man in Babylon. And that I really connect with that book just because, it touches on Christian principles of money and it's from like centuries ago and it's still true today. So the point of it is if you have money, that money should always be multiplying. If your money is not multiplying, then you're not a good, conserver of wealth or money. So essentially, the insurance reserves are the ones who are the sources banks go to. They're the source of, in fact, money in this country, in America. And so people don't know this. They just think the banks just create money from thin air and give it out to people. No, the banks, the original traditional banks that you probably know of, they go buy blocks of money from the insurance companies, and they vet out these companies, right? These are mutual insurance companies that have been around for over 100 years. They have a history of paying, their claims on time, and they've been around for just a long time. So the traditional banks will go to these insurance reserves and buy blocks of money. So after they buy the blocks of money, then they come back to the consumers, because that's you and me, right? Now, keep in mind, there are only three kinds of people in the world: the consumer, the bankers, or maybe let's call them producers, and the one that is actually sitting on the top giving everybody the money. So you choose where you fall. So anyways, so the banks go to the insurance reserves, they buy blocks of money from whatever they start, and then they come back to the consumers to then multiply that money. And there's something called fractional reserves. And what fractional reserves is a legal way that gives banks authority to loan out the same amount of money to 10 different people. So they do this, and because they really don't have to give you the money in cash physically, it's imaginary money, right? So they tell you, you get a loan, maybe you come borrow money from them to finance an equipment, a project, a home, a car. Those are different products, and now they're charging you 20% interest, 10% interest, and you're there like, oh man, okay, I'm gonna get this now, and I just have to work hard and then pay back. And in the middle of that, you'll be so stressed. Like, I don't know about you, but I know that loans I've had in the past, they make me really stressed because I hate to owe anybody. And even in the Bible, it says the borrower is slave to the lender. And really, you are, because you get so stressed. You're like, okay, I have to make sure I have incoming cash flow or a job to make sure I can pay all this stuff off. If not, I don't know how to get out of it. So anyways, if the traditional banks have $1, that same $1, they could loan out to 10 people and charge each of them 20% to return the money. I mean, that is a good business. If you think about it, it's like really good. And how did the banks get funded? How do they even have enough money to even buy the insurance reserves in the first place? It's because we as normal people go into these traditional banks and open accounts, and we give them our money from working so hard every day, and we want to save it in their savings account or in a checking account. Keep in mind, the banks do not save your money physically in their banks. Like, heck no. They take that money. They know too much. And this is why you need to mimic the bank. They take that money and now rotate and give it out to people like, okay, who wants financing? They send you pre-approval credit card letters in the mail, like, hey, you're pre-approved, come, check your credit report, let's see how much we can loan you, and let's see how much interest we're going to charge you if your credit is so terrible, right? But now, when you become your bank and when you understand exactly how to be the bank, credit is not an issue, because you're loaning from yourself and you're paying yourself back interest. You're capturing that wealth. You're not paying someone else or another family, your interest. You're paying yourself. So now this way you have money that is available for you today. And this is not like the old school insurance where you have to die before someone else sees the money. This is like this is the best kept secret that people are now coming around to, and the only hindrance is just how you started and how much you have to start, and of course your health and your age. But then of course, going back, so they take the money you bring into the bank, you deposit it, and they loan it to people, mortgage loans, car loans, because within 30 days, they start charging all this heavy interest and they're making their money back. So when you come the next day and say, hey, I want my money, here you go, because Mr. John that came to borrow money from us last month has paid us his monthly today and plus interest. So you can go ahead and withdraw your money. It's good. It's okay. We're not worried. We have another sucker coming in to, borrow some money that they'll start paying us with a whole lot of interest. So when you decide to go straight to the source, which is the insurance reserve, and cut off the middleman, which is the banks, the traditional banks. And I know this sounds very new and very different for you. So trust me, when I heard it too, I'm like, whoa. So this is the American system. This is how it actually works. Nobody tells you. So when you decide to cut them off and go straight to the insurance bank, you could buy your own block of money, whatever your money could afford for you to get. You buy your own block of money, and then what you do is you let that money start growing. As that money grows, you're going to have the cash value that's available to you for you to use today. So if the money grew to a point where you can use it to buy a big old investment, do that. If it's available for you to pay off some kind of debt that you have right now, go ahead and do that. The good thing about it is you're going to be capturing your interest, because when you pay yourself back, it's interest that gets paid back to you. So you just want a max funded insurance reserve, and that is how you become your own bank. And even that money in the cash value, what people do is when someone comes, borrows money from you, how many people have tried to ask you to lend them some money, and you're thinking about it, you're like, man, I probably won't see this money again, or like, how do I trust that they will pay me back? Well, now you can become the ultimate bank because you can act like a bank. You go ahead and pull out a promissory note. You could get that from several places, or reach out to us here at wealthstay.org, and we can help you put one together. And pretty much you have a promissory note, secure it with an asset that they have. So that's another thing. When you borrow people money, it's also in that Richest Man in Babylon book. You hold on to something that is of value. So when they don't pay you back, you go claim that property. Now it becomes yours. So now when you trying to hold on to their asset, make sure it's actually an asset, not a liability. For example, a car, a vehicle will not be an asset because it's depreciating. So that doesn't make sense. Look for something that appreciates with value. So the older it is, the more money you can make from it, and you recover your money, maybe even plus some, right? So you have that promissory note, they sign it, you sign it, you keep it on whatever terms you agree to. Oh, pay me in 30 days, pay me in 6 months, pay me in 1 year. When that time comes, they should be paying you your money back plus the interest that you agreed to. Now, if it's unsecured, meaning you didn't hold any assets, you just have that promissory note, then that probably means you probably will be going to court if they don't fulfill their end of the promissory note, right? And so pretty much this is it. And if it was a bank and you don't pay them their money back, they'll attack your credit report. And maybe after a while, if they really need that money, they'll try to get an attorney to sue you. That's pretty much what it is. You're becoming your own bank. And the older this insurance reserve gets, just like any business, the older it is, the better it is, because now you have more money vested in it. It's growing. You can use more of the money available to you to do so many other things you want, but always have a guaranteed income or a guaranteed home for your money, where fires won't get to it, thieves can't reach it, the market doesn't affect it. It's just there, and it grows by the month, by the year. So I'm so excited to talk more on this. This is like amazing information, and this is what the Rockefellers do. Like, if you listen to my other episodes, how I talk about becoming like the Rockefellers or something like that, you see how I describe it. But this is pretty much what they do, and this is part of becoming your own banks. Now, there are other aspects to it where you start putting some family constitution together, something that your heirs and your maybe great-grandchildren, children into the future that you probably will never live to see those great-grandchildren or great-great-great-great-grandchildren. The constitution you set up for them today holds that family together. So the family, your bloodline, never goes broke and never has to go borrow money from a traditional institution that determines how much money they get to start their own business or grow their wealth, and dictates all of that. You, as the educated parent and ancestor has done that for them, and you've put documents in place where they can always go back and read it and understand what it is that, how their money should be moving and growing. That is what the Rockefellers have done and are doing, and their whole generations are benefiting from that. And so that's what I just wanted to educate you on today. I do thank you for listening. Make sure you tune in again next week. I'll have a new episode. Take care. We're talking about becoming your own. Hey, don't forget, follow us on Instagram at Dr. Ndidi, which is D as in David, R as in Robert, N as in Nancy, D as in David, I as in India, D as in David, I as in India. And you can check out our website at www.wealthstay.org. That's wealthstay.org. And wealthstay is spelled WEALTH. S as in Sam, T as in Tom, AY. So if you want more information or you want to talk to a specialist and putting together your own insurance bank, then go ahead and reach out to them. You can also text WEALTH, WEALTH, to the number 832-400-6829 for more tips and ideas on personal finance. Thank you.